Hello again, everybody, and welcome to another brand new and exciting episode of Back to Basics. If you've missed our last episode, we are in the wind down from the stories of kind of Jacob and Isaac and moving our way into Jacob and his sons. And by the way, I'm still Pastor Don. If you haven't figured that out yet, the hell are you doing here? And I'm joined by Courtney, who remains as
Keep
magnificent
telling
as
you, be
always.
nice to newbies.
Okay, newbies, welcome aboard. Way to jump in at Genesis 30, whatever, 35.
Yeah, 35 part 2. Yeah.
Weird flex for a jumping off point, but like, hey, good for you. Like,
Hey, the
I have,
algorithm's weird sometimes.
I got to be honest. One of the most commonly asked questions I get as a pastor is, where should I start reading the Bible? And the answer I absolutely never get is Genesis 35. Like, that's never my answer. I'm sorry. It really isn't. Not a good jumping on point, but hey, as long as you're here, there's a playlist. Maybe you just go back to the beginning. Get in line. It's a good place to be. But no, side note, the actual answer to that question is don't just, there's no good spot. Just don't pick a spot and start reading. Go to a Bible study or something, because this should not be done alone. Anyway, let's talk about that Bible here, shall we? We are picking up from Genesis 35, verse 16 on to the end here. Last week, we talked about Jacob's return to Bethel and all the weirdly religious shit involved with that. Today, we are going to be doing the birth of Benjamin. And in fact, there's a lot of other births that are happening here. And one surprising note that happens right in the middle that'll catch us all off guard. And then Isaac dies. And that's going to be it for today. At the end of the episode, by the way, we're going to do Genesis chapter 36 as well, which is just a list of genealogical shit. Not a lot to talk about there, so we're going to tag it on here so that next episode we can visit Joseph and the amazing Technicolor vomit. And there are so many different jokes I can make about that, and I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be Brian, I get to make so many jokes about Joseph. He's so much fun. He's so much fun to make jokes about. It's gonna be great. I'm excited. But for now, we got to birth some folk and kill some folk. So let's go ahead and do that, shall we?
Right.
I'll take the reading this time from verse 16, which I have over here. The birth of Benjamin and the death of Rachel. Then they journeyed from Bethel, and when they were still some distance from Ephrath, Rachel was in childbirth, and she had hard labor. When she was in her hard labor, the midwife said to her, "Do not be afraid, for now you have another son." As her soul was departing, for she was dying, she named him Ben-Oni, but his father called him Benjamin. And Rachel died, and she was buried on the way to Ephrath, that is Bethlehem. And Jacob set up a pillar at her grave. It is the pillar of Rachel's tomb, which is there to this day. Israel journeyed on and pitched his tent beyond the tower of Eder. While Israel lived in this land, Ruben went and lay with Bilhah, his father's concubine, and Israel heard of it. Now the sons of Jacob were 12. The sons of Leah, Ruben, Jacob's firstborn, Simeon, Levi, Judah, Issachar, and Zebulun. The sons of Rachel, Joseph, and Benjamin. The sons of Bilhah, Rachel's maid, Dan and Naphtali. The sons of Zilpah, Leah's maid, Gad and Asher. These were the sons of Jacob who were born to him in Paddan Aram. Jacob came to his father Isaac at Mamre, or Kirth Abba, that is Hebron, where Abraham and Isaac had resided as aliens. Now the days of Isaac were 180 years, and Isaac breathed his last. He died and was gathered to his people, old and full of days, and his sons Esau and Jacob buried him. Okay.
I like the phrase "old and full of days."
Old and full of days. Well, it just goes to show that, way back in the past, old people were full of something totally different than what they're full of today, which is mostly just shit. Anyway.
No, let's not be ageist.
Sorry, you can tell I've spent a week dealing with boomer shit online.
Oh, apologies.
Yeah, it happens. Anyway, so we got a lot of stuff that honestly happens here. I will say before we dig into the rest of this, because there are some surprising moments, I love.
How old was Rachel? Sorry, go ahead.
I'm going to throw this piece in here. I absolutely love the incredibly subtle note that this chapter ends on. And it's a blink and you'll miss it sort of thing. Because remember the last time we saw Jacob and Esau? They come together and Esau tries to reconcile and Jacob runs the fuck away. Like, that's where we left it. And then you get this last verse. Isaac breathed his last. The father of Jacob and Esau dies. He was gathered to his people, old and full of days. And his sons Esau and Jacob buried him.
Aw.
Blink and you'll miss it, and it's there. We'll get more about this at the end when we talk about chapter 36, because there's a little more that goes in a little more detail about that there. But I just love the fact that we went on a full episode about how absolutely fucked up it was that Jacob just took off running rather than finish the reconciliation.
They put their shit aside when their dad was dying.
Yeah, like those there. It sounds cold to put it this way, but there is a utility to a death in the family that can be capitalized on in this way, and should be. Like, if nothing else brings you back together with people you have yet to reconcile with, that should. And this tells you that it does happen. And there is, I've read this chapter many, many times, honestly, and that there is a note of hope that comes in those last 5 or 6 words there, that you don't get very much in the Old Testament. Just the simple fact that no matter how badly you fuck it up, it can still be okay. Like, I absolutely unequivocally love the subtle, understated hope of that last phrase there. Anyway, that's my bit here. What else did you find in this wonderful show of a chapter?
What the hell is up with verse 22?
22. Aha! Yeah, that's a fun one. There is a lot that is up with verse 22, to the point where before we started recording, while I was waiting for us to be ready, I actually dug into this one, which is kind of my deeper kind of Jewish analysis of the Old Testament, because I was even thinking, the fuck is up with this? And the short of it is first off, Ruben a freak. We're not gonna get past that. Like that was definitely a thing.
There is something a little icky about
there are a couple of things here that draw
about sharing dick space with your own parent.
There are a couple of things here that draw upon more historical facts here that go beyond the Bible. Like, there's references from Jubilees, the Testament of Ruben, kind of older Old Testament sources that aren't specifically in modern Christian canon. So the historical commentator I'm reading in here references these 2 verses from extra biblical sources. And the basic thing about this is he was pissed. Like, he wasn't happy that his kid did this. Like, Israel was not happy. He was very angry about the fact that this had happened. Now, I'm going to read this to you from this commentator who, again, has gone through far more ancient Jewish sources than I have. His take on it was simply this. It all came about by accident when Reuben saw Bilhah bathing in a covered place. Jacob was away at the time, so that night, after Bilhah had gone to bed, Reuben slipped into her room and committed his sin. Bilhah herself was quite innocent, but Jacob nonetheless refrained from further relations with her thereafter. There were to be only 12 sons of Jacob. So, yeah, this is kind of a little bit Dinah all over again. So, like, Israel had every right to be pissed about it. It is suggested that Bilhah was totally innocent in this, but even still, Jacob couldn't quite bring himself to get back with that after that. You know, he couldn't do it. Maybe he had some of that leftover Abrahamic infertility curse or what have you, but that was it for that relationship. And like, Bilhah was, I think, the last maid that he was knocking kids out with. So that seems to have been it. That, historically speaking, this is kind of the verse that puts an end to the question of 12 tribes. Like, this is why there were 12. After this, Israel was kind of done because Reuben kind of did a fucked up. That's kind of the way they biblically addressed it. But even still, this isn't something that's commented on much more than that. This does, however, lay the groundwork for something unique that'll come much later, which is the fact that we have seen historically, as one patriarch dies, he passes the blessing on to the eldest son. That doesn't happen with Jacob. Jacob passes the blessing on to all 12 of his sons. And so this is also in there to provide a kind of a justification, because Reuben was the eldest. He's the one who would have received that birthright solely. So this is used later on as kind of a justification for why that happens. But in short, yeah, it's weird. So what else we got? I will say this is I have obliquely made mention to this, that this is the arrival of the 12 tribes of Israel here, which remains a feature that even still a lot of modern Judaism plays with. Simeon, Levi, Issachar, Zebulun, Ruben, Joseph, Benjamin, Dan, Naphtali, Gad, and Asher.
Naphtali is such a beautiful name.
I know, I love it. And also, as like a hardcore fan of the late 90s epic Xenogears, the fact that was used for the anima relic of the main bad guy's gear just brings it home for me.
I mean, it reads as a female name to me, but
yeah, I know, which is another thing that makes me smile. A female name assigned to a male bad guy.
But it says sons of Bilhah, so Naphtali.
Yeah, Naphtali is a guy. Like it reads as female modernly. It's an ancient male name. Like, it's beautiful. I love it. Honestly, Naphtali is one of my favorite names. Like, if it weren't for the fact that none of those syllables exist in Japanese, I might have named a kid that, but I didn't. So yeah.
Okay.
So that's where that starts.
For Rachel, how old was Rachel that to die in childbirth, which is a shitty way to go from what I've heard.
Yeah, and they weren't skimping on how hard it was. They described it as hard labor many times. And setting aside that, there's also a little bit of kind of unintentional comedy. Don't be afraid, for now you have another son. And now I am the dead. Like the way it does that, it's like, oh fuck, another boy. Just kicks it. But that being said, like, let's see, you ask how old was Rachel? Well, it doesn't say, but given that this is ancient patriarchy and Jacob is 180 when he passes in the next chapter, I'm gonna say she was probably at least 15 or 16. No, seriously. I don't know, probably in her 70s or 80s maybe. But then again, age is kind of a weird thing even still in these
well, yeah, you're talking about people living to the ripe old age of 180, which granted, that seems like a lot even for this period of time.
And it's worth noting too that there's a whole discussion we had.
We have talked about this, yeah.
We have talked about where we're not sure, like the old suggestion that just people in biblical times couldn't count. Like, well, fair, I guess, but also maybe not. Like, there's also I tend to actually lean towards the argument that this is kind of the leftovers of kind of early immortality or Talmudic degradation. Like, there are other issues that could have had people living much longer when they were this many thousands of years ago. Do I know? No, not a clue. We're just gonna take it as read.
We're talking about stuff that's like stupid long ago.
Yeah,
because these are oral traditions from the cradle of civilization.
Yeah,
these stories be old.
And it is also worth mentioning too, there is a tradition in modern scholastics that tries to pin these down to specific dates. And it's not just the conservatives who do that, by the way. Like, liberal, progressive archaeological theologians are trying to say, Jacob and Leah, that happened like, roughly 3600 BCE or something like that. So we have a specific date that couldn't have been any earlier, because this is when, like, there's a lot of archaeohistory that goes into that. And I still always come back to that with, like, we're basing that off of when these stories were written down for the most part, but we don't know how long they were in oral histories. Like, we have certain guesses based on like the movements of political organizations in the area, but those could have been convenient later applications to stories that were much older than that. We don't actually know how old any of these stories were, at least until we get to
well, like you said about the repetition, it would make sense to like, this story has been told a lot of times. It happens over and over. And, here we're going to tell it about what's going on right now, even though we've been telling the same story for a very long time with different scenarios that happened with our people, because
and like things like the
wheel.
Things like the Exodus, for example, are often pinned on like a certain pharaoh. And again, that could be a victim of the same issue where, okay, yes, was it this pharaoh? Maybe. Was it actually a different pharaoh that we've renamed? Possibly. So you get the Exodus is pinned there pretty much up until the fall of the United Kingdom, the Babylonian exile and stuff like that. We don't up until that point, nothing here is historically guaranteed to a specific time frame or date. And after
to anyone confused, the historical United Kingdom, we're talking like
early, we're not talking about the place what with Doctor Who
early civilization stuff.
Yeah, anyway, we're talking about the United Kingdom of Israel here, and that the even like archaeohistorians question the existence of the United Kingdom of Israel. Like there are people who question that too. And that's a whole thing we'll get into later when we get up to that point in the Bible. My point being that pretty much up until the end of that period, we don't have anything that we can concretely point to and say this is definitely a person who definitely existed at this definite date and time. And the reason we can confirm the Babylonian exile is we have records from Babylon from that period.
Yeah.
It's some of the oldest records we have, but we have them. Before that, we're dealing mostly with stories that are connected to specific times in history by tradition or by the fact that the Bible says that they happened in this time. But the Bible could and very likely may have been edited to add these stories into later periods in history when the stories themselves are much older.
Yes.
And if you were looking for a more definitive answer than that, why did you come to me? I have a history of not giving definitive answers. What are you doing here? So
I'm reminded of the Mythical Lost episode in which I absolutely went off about the, what do you mean you can't prove anything?
Yeah, which by the way, for anybody looking for the Mythical Lost episode, it doesn't exist. I forgot to hit record on 3 episodes in succession in which Courtney did some of the best theologizing I have ever come across, and I continue to kick myself for never recording that. It was
theologizing. Is that the term?
Developing a theology by breaking down your faith and rebuilding it and analyzing it and asking hard questions. Yeah, that's what theology is. Anywho, so she did set up a pillar. This is where we get
kind of a dick thing that like basically with her dying breath she named him, and no, his dad's gonna call him Benjamin. Why not?
Yeah, and I'm not going to defend him. Like she called him Ben Oni, which is kind of like son of my sorrow, and Benjamin is more like my right hand son.
Yeah, okay, I get that.
Like I kind of get it. Like I get why she was doing it. I also kind of
that's for the kids good at that point.
Like you don't want a kid to have a name like that.
Name. No, that's a burden you don't need to carry as a kid.
It's like everybody.
Maybe as an adult, be like, oh, by the way, this is your real name and this is how you got it and why.
Yeah, it's also like everybody naming their kid Khaleesi. So that covers pretty much most of it. So I want to, before we end for today, I'm going to go ahead and read through Genesis chapter 36 as well, because here at Back to Basics, we are completionist assholes. So we're going to cover everything, even the stuff that really doesn't have much to talk about. And that includes Genesis chapter 36, which really only has maybe like one thing worth talking about that I've already kind of mentioned. So I'm going to read through the chapter. We'll make a couple quick notes on it, and then I think we'll call it for today. So Genesis chapter 36, Esau's descendants. These are the descendants of Esau, that is Edom. Esau took his wives from the Canaanites, Ada, daughter of Elon the Hittite, Oholibama, God, I love that name, Oholibama, daughter of Anna, son of Zebon the Hivite, and Basemath, Ishmael's daughter, sister of Nebaioth. Ada bore Elpiaz to Esau, Basemath bore Ruel, and Oholibama bore Jeush, Jalam, and Korah. These are the sons of Esau who were born to him in the land of Canaan. Then Esau took his wives, his sons, his daughters, and all the members of his household, his cattle, and all his livestock, and all the property he had acquired in the land of Canaan, and he moved to a land some distance from his brother Jacob. For their possessions were too great for them to live together. The land where they were staying could not support them because of their livestock. So Esau settled in the hill country of Seir. Esau is Edom. These are the descendants of Esau, ancestor of the Edomites in the hill country of Seir. These are the names of Esau's sons. Eliphaz, the son of Ada, the wife of Esau. Ruel, the son of Esau's wife Basema. The sons of Eliphaz were Teman, Omar, Zepho, Gatam, and Kenaz. Timnah was a concubine of Eliphaz, Esau's son. She bore Amalek to Eliphaz. These were the sons of Ada, Esau's wife. These were the sons of Ruel, Nethas, Zerah, Shammah, and Mizah. These were the sons of Basemath, Esau's wife. These were the sons of Esau's wife, Oholibama, daughter of Anah, son of Zebeon. She bore to Esau Jeush, Jalam, and Korah. These are the clans of the sons of Esau. The sons of Eliphaz, the firstborn of Esau, the clans of Teman, Omar, Zepho, Kenaz, Korah, Gatam, and Amalek. These are the clans of Eliphaz in the land of Edom. They are the sons of Ada. These are the sons of Esau's son Ruel, the clans of Natha, Zerah, Shammah, and Mizah. These are the clans of Ruel in the land of Edom. They are the sons of Esau's wife Basema. These are the sons of Esau's wife Oholibama, still my favorite name in this passage. The clans Jeshu, Jalam, and Korah. These are the clans born of Esau's wife Oholibama, the daughter of Anah. These are the sons of Esau, that is Edom. These are their clans. If you thought we were done, we are not. These are the sons of Seir the Horite, the inhabitants of the land Lotan, Shobal, Zibeon, Anah, Dishon, Ezer, and Dishon. These are the clans of the Horites, the sons of Seir in the land of Edom. The sons of Lotan were Hori and Heman, and Lotan's sister was Timah. These are the sons of Shobal, Alvan, Manathah, Ebal, Shepho, and Onam. These are the sons of Zibeon, Aya, and Anah. He is the Anah who founded the springs in the wilderness as he pastured the donkeys of his father Zibeon. These are the children of Anah, Dishon and Oholibama, daughter of Anah. These are the sons of Dishon, Hemdan, Esban, Ithran, and Cheran. These are the sons of Ezer, Bilhan, Zaavan, and Akan. These are the sons of Dishon, Uz, and Aran. These are the clans of the Horites, the clans Lotan, Shobal, Zibeon, Anah, Dishon, Ezer, and Dishon. Dishon and Dishan. Okay, there's two different ones there. These are the clans of the Horites, clan by clan in the land of Seir. These are the kings who reigned in the land of Edom before any king reigned over the Israelites. Bela, son of Beor, reigned in Edom, the name of his city being Dinchaba. Bela died, and Joab, son of Zerah of Bozrah, succeeded him as king. Jobab died, and Husham of the land of the Temanites succeeded him as king. Husham died, and Halad, son of Badad, who defeated Midian in the country of Moab, succeeded him as king, the name of his city being Avith. Hadad died, and Samala of Masrekah succeeded him as king. Samala died, and Shaul of Reboath on the Euphrates succeeded him as king. Shaul died, and Balhanan, son of Achbor, succeeded him as king. Balhanan, son of Achbor, died, and Hadar succeeded him as king, the name of his city being Pau. His wife's name was Methabel, the daughter of Matred, daughter of Mezahabab. These are the names of the clans of Esau according to their families and their localities by their names. The clans Timah, Alva, Jetha, Oholibama, Elah, Pinon, Kenaz, Teman, Mibzar, Magdiel, and Iram. These are the clans of Edom, that is Esau, the father of Edom, according to their settlements in the land that they held. Are you glad I did not ask you to do that one?
Listen to a pastor completely butcher early Hebrew names for 5 minutes straight.
In fairness, I think I probably did better than any 60-year-old near retiree in mainline Protestantism would do. I did my best. I tried. But I will repeat, of course, just as an American living in the political situation of the 2000s and 2010s, the name Oholibama just makes me laugh every time I see it, because it brings to mind a whole different political reality that makes me chuckle. Anyway, the most of this is pretty much here just to establish the history and structure of the Edomite people who come out of Esau, which was a neighboring nation to Israel as it developed, that developed a kingship and a monarchy and a structure before Israel did. and was kind of a contemporary of early Israel. It's pretty much there for historical legitimacy. And given what we just said about the historical legitimacy of these stories, you can take them for whatever the hell you think that's worth. Any questions about this?
I think I'm good.
Yeah, I think we're all good. Like, this is really just here for completion's sake for us. There's not a lot to describe about this. It is what it is. It's describing the nation of Edom that came out of Esau, as it said like 97 times in this. These are the descendants of Esau, that is Esam, or Esau, that is Edom. Like, they said that like 95 times in the passage. If you don't get it now, I don't know what to tell you. That's all it's there for. And we've said it, we've gone through it. There's not much to comment on that unless you are a specific type of geek for ancient historical kingdoms, in which case, might I recommend a degree in archaeology or ancient anthropology? Those would be wonderful for you, not a Progressive Church's Bible Study podcast, because I don't have much more than that. Anything else we want to dig into, or shall we call it for today?
No, I think we're good.
I think we're good too. As usual, please join us on Discord, where I promise you we are doing more discussion about how Paul is a crazy-ass psychopath and less about ancient lists of names for the kingdom of Edom that comes from Esau, because that is his descendants. Oh my God. Really, we're having some good conversations there, though. We really are. And I want to invite you to do into that. Like, we spend a lot of time here talking about Old Testament stuff, but we are ragging on Paul. We're digging into, why does he keep talking about flesh? What is it with him and flesh? Is he like weirdly obsessed with this stuff? Short answer, yes. Oh boy, we have had conversations about that. We've got an NSFW channel if you want to really get into what he's obsessed about. We've got all sorts of stuff we're talking about because we're a community, and that's how communities work. So come hang out.
Would you like to join a church that you might get kicked out of your brick and mortar church for looking at stuff on your phone? Like,
yeah, like this. If you want to go to an entire church full of people,
I swear.
If you want to join an actual mainline denominational church that's full of people who have been kicked out of other mainline denominational churches and definitely have pissed off every evangelical in our lives, this is the place for you, because oh boy, that us. It is us.
Yeah.
So yeah, come join us, come hang out with us. And in the meantime, please be good little listeners and viewers and do the thing that Courtney tells you to do.
Like, share, and subscribe.
Yay! That's so much fun. I love it when you do that. It makes me happy. Anyway, have fun. We will see you on our next episode, in which we are going to talk about little baby boy Joseph, who gets beat up and thrown in the pit. All because he had a fancy coat. And unlike Andy Dwyer, he did not sing a song about it or like break up with his girlfriend about it. And those are my Parks and Recs jokes for the day. So have fun with that if you actually watch that show and know what I was joking about. Anyway, have a good week. We will see you for Joseph next week. Bye, everybody.
Bye.